Mihai, thank you very much for being with us today at Moldova Security Forum and also here at Security Corner to talk about cybersecurity, Moldova and our region. And we have a couple of questions to you to dwell a little bit deeper into the subject of cybersecurity and also to get your expertise and your insight into the present, but also looking a little bit into the future. And I would like to ask you, so we often talk about cyber threats towards governments and corporations, but what do you think are the main risks towards individual people, towards ordinary people? What kind of cyber threats are they encountering? And also, if you are looking a little bit into the future, what do you think will be the biggest personal challenge in terms of cybersecurity in the next 5 years?
So, first of all, looking at the individuals, I mean, they are already dealing with the typical attacks out there, from spams to all sorts of scams and social media activities out there. But there is another part we have to talk about, and that's still related to the authorities, to the government, and so on. And that's the reason why in Europe we started to have frameworks like NIS2, where critical infrastructure gets to or needs to have a specific level or a decent level of security out there to make sure that no one is able to turn off the light in that country or stop the running water or heat and so on. So there are many aspects here, and I'm sure we can talk for a week about all of this. And please help me with the second part of the question.
What do you think will be the biggest personal cybersecurity challenge in the next 5 years?
So we already see this challenge out there. For the individuals, it is harder and harder to distinguish between what's real and what is not. We have a couple of cases out there when even corporate employees were tricked into sophisticated scams, where some AI augmented video calls, corporate video calls, were made in order to trick employees to perform specific actions out there. So at the personal level, for the everyday citizen out here, it will be and is already so difficult to distinguish between reality and fake.
That's a very good perspective. And I think that's really going to be a challenge in the future to understand what's truth and what it's false and what was created by an algorithm. This is why my next question is focused a little bit more on AI, because this is something that everyone is talking right now. And AI is transforming at the moment both the cyber offense and cyber defense. And I would like to ask you, do you see a future where AI can defend the system autonomously, or is it always the human that has to be the last line of defense?
So I have a longer answer here, and I have to take you through an example. In 2020, when I was part of my very first big cyber attack out there, when we got our hands on a piece of malware, we had to create a sandbox, put the malware in the sandbox, and then start to analyze, fail, create another sandbox, put the malware, analyze, and so on. Then once we managed to get to some conclusions, we had to reverse engineer, then deobfuscate, and then analyze every single line of code. And this kind of activity took me somewhere around a week. These days, I take that piece of malware, I drop it in an AI engine, and somewhere in between 5 to 10 minutes, I get the same report that it took me a week back in the days to create. So while I believe in the automation of cyber protection out there, I think there will always be the human aspect of investigation.
We also lately are seeing a lot of state-sponsored cyber attacks all around the world. Either it's coming from China or from Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and so on. Do you think in the future, and hopefully in the nearest future, we might see a convention, a Geneva Convention, for example, on ensuring cybersecurity? Or is cybersecurity peace unrealistic to achieve?
So I don't know if it will be something at Geneva, but definitely we need to take some action. And here I have another weird example. So if I was a business owner 80 years ago, let's say I was the owner of a factory or production power plant. If another country was bombing my factory, my country will go to war with that country. Today, if a foreign adversary through cybersecurity attacks will level to the ground, of course, virtually, my business and puts me out of business out there, I'm on my own. So there is not much that the authorities can do in order to help me get back on business.
And hopefully in the future, there will be more that state actors and also non-state actors can do to ensure cybersecurity, but also ensuring resilience. And one last question to you will be, what will be one piece of advice for countries like Republic of Moldova, for countries that are facing hybrid threats in order to ensure their resilience from the cybersecurity perspective?
So for a small country like Moldova is both a nightmare, but also a blessing to be at the forefront of the cybersecurity battlefield. So on one hand, we have all of these attacks and disinformation campaigns and discreditation campaigns, but all of these, they also provide cybersecurity intelligence. So if Moldova is good or will become good at collecting all of these threat intelligence signals, that's something that can give back to all the partners that are supporting Moldova today with resources. So, and we learned that lesson from, for example, from Ukraine and so on.
We really hope that is going to happen, that Moldova is going to learn its lesson. I think this is already happening, but that's, I think, a very good piece of advice for the main stakeholders from the government and not only. And thank you very much, Mihai, for your time and for being here with us at Security Corner.
Thank you as well.